Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 24th day of January, 2022. Well, we have our guests. We're in our last week of the month, or full week anyway. So, let's see what we have from today's esoteric influences. I took some notes rather than writing it down on the screen. I just took some notes. We have a 6 energy for today. 24 reduces to 6. So you're looking at benevolence, shared path, assistance, empathy, all of that. Let's see. The sun's in Aquarius. The moon is in Scorpio, or not, well, it will be in Scorpio. Currently in Libra until it transitions to Scorpio at 7:57 in the evening, Pacific Standard Time. And the recommendations or the interpretations for today to think about, let benevolence guide you today, especially with others, especially if someone needs assistance. Let the benevolence within come out. You're probably going to make progress toward a shared goal, say at work today or something, or if you've got something going with some folks or something that's outside of work, you could make some progress toward a shared goal today. But if discernment is a problem, it may be that you're just simply looking at too many things at once. There's just too many things coming in, and you need to step back, take a walk, do something just to kind of get yourself out of that headspace. You can get really overwhelmed when you can't, pick one to look at, because maybe they're all integrated, so you really don't have a choice. And so, but if discernment's tough, just take a step back, and it may make you want to take a solitary approach, but I don't think that's the best thing to do today. I think you're going to find that even if you take a step back for a short time, I think you're going to find that you're going to need others to do whatever it is you're doing. So with that, let's go ahead and take our rune, our Elder Futhark rune, the As Above part of the As Above, So Below. And then we'll follow with a rune from the elemental geomancy runes. We'll discover what our geomancy rune is for today. Well, I can't get my runes to get out of my hand there. Oh, here we go. I always take the last one. We have Fehu. And Fehu is the first rune of the Elder Futhark. It means cattle and wealth. And what that means is that it's transactional in nature. And so it basically, what it's saying is that how you transact with others. If it's going to be financial in nature, maybe you're doing a barter arrangement, or maybe you're trying to get a raise or something today at a job or something like that. Maybe you're you have your evaluation, your yearly evaluation, where money comes up. Oftentimes it does. So how you transact that, you need to be aware of the bigger picture. You need to, as far as that goes, you're going to want to take this from a higher perspective instead of letting ego drive that conversation. So just sort of focus in there. In fact, if you want to, before you go into the meeting, if that's what this is for you today, you might want to chant Fehu softly to yourself to get your energy in that same mindset. Fehu is also used as the sending rune in magic, and when you cast your intention, you could use that. You just chant Fehu to cast that intention off to whatever, the universe or whatever you're doing. Let's see. We're at the 24th. I think that the 24th, favorability for work and magic on the 24th is very bad. So I probably recommend it over there on Patreon if you're looking at that one. That has actual recommendations for magical workings each day. Now that the grandchild is born, I didn't have to do just, I left that off for those couple of weeks there where we weren't sure. It was so hard for me to focus, with them having their third child, our third grandchild, and it just, because we had to go and take care of the little ones. And so we were there from Tuesday through, we came home Sunday. And so we were there overnight, taking care of them while our son was at the hospital with his wife, having the baby. And so that was a first for Grandma and Grandpa. And oh my God, it was just amazing. Anyway, enough of that. We don't need to talk about that. But anyway, about Fehu, I just think that it's a very powerful rune. It really, but it does govern how we transact our lives with others, and we can either do that and understand what the true nature of wealth is having positive relationships with others, or it could just simply mean about how you do your business with other people. Are you going to do it from a lofty standpoint? Are you going to do it from one that involves reciprocity and fairness and all of that, or are you just going to take from other people? Let's see what okay, so we have Puella, looks like, for our geomancy rune. Now, Puella and Pur, they're each other's complements. One means scattered little boy energy, which is Pur, and Puella is scattered little girl energy. I was a Puella growing up. Great focus when I wanted to, but otherwise I'm looking at all things at once. So for me, that's where being able to hold the whole picture in my mind and understand how all of the different components interrelate to one another, that was something I could do, even though I could be a little bit scattered. If I was reading a book, for example, if we had quite an hour in class time where we got to just read, my teacher would have to come over and literally shake me to get me out of it, because I would be so focused on the book I couldn't come back. So anyway. So Puella, though, is fortunate, but not too fortunate. It can be superficial. It can be very positive. Just think of a young girl who's just interested in everything. My granddaughter is like that. She can be very focused, but she's also interested in so many different things. So that's kind of that type of energy. So that's Puella for today. So you could think of it as you could have a lot of different opportunities then, to transact with others, that would have basically your transactions with others it's sort of suggesting that it would have a positive outcome then today. And then if you're looking at the 6 energy for today, the numerology for today, then realistically, it's implying a shared experience with other people. And so, you want to make sure that your transactions are benevolent, and they're, benevolently based and not selfish based. And you understand that there's more than just you involved in the whole situation, and that other people have needs too. And it's like when you barter with somebody, I've done that in the past, years and years ago. And we had a cow that we were growing. We had 2 cows we were growing for meat, and one was we didn't need the other one, and so we had some friends, and they were doing their own thing. They were growing some fryers and some chickens for fryers, and they were growing pigs and stuff like that. So we did this great barter thing, where it was just basically an even trade. They gave us a little bit of money, but so it wasn't exactly even, and so they made it up with cash. But it worked, and everybody was happy, and the guys stayed out of it. It was just me and the other wife talking about it and figuring out, okay, we made a list. This is how much the cow's worth. What you got? And it was great. So there's an example of I think today's energy of Fehu and both Puella. You have a lot to be looking at, and eventually, it all comes together in a way that benefits both parties. So think about that in terms of anything transactional today with Fehu. You need it to be something that's going to benefit all parties instead of just one. And it's fine if it does just one, as long as the other people are happy about it. You see what I mean? There's got to be some benefit somehow. So for both. Anyway, let's take our cards for today. We'll start with 3. If we need more, we'll take them. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And it's nice to see everybody. I hope you will click subscribe and come back and join our little tarot and rune family here as we look at how all of this, the cards and the runes, can help us with our lives and improve them and make us understand things a little better about ourselves. So Anyway, so we have one card from the Major Arcana, one from the Suit of Cups, and one from the Suit of Wands. We start with the Seven of Wands, move to the Eight of Cups, and then we end with the Hanged Man. Now, we may move these around in case it seems to make better sense to do that, but we'll start out with it this way. Because I can kind of see this flowing toward the Hanged Man. So let's do it that way. We'll start with the Seven of Wands. Here we have a man standing above everybody else on a little hilltop there. He's defending his ground, standing his ground. He's taking stock of what's happening down below him. That's the 7 energy there. But the Wands, the Suit of Wands is the fire element. So we're talking creativity and vitality and the birth of something. But basically, it can also be the battle of wills here. But he's standing above it all, and he's taking a look at what's really in front of him, and he's standing up for what he believes in. Let me see if there's anything I forgot that might be important here. Confrontation, courage, success, honor. But yeah, standing one's ground. So something has happened, and maybe transactional in nature, given the Fehu rune here. So something has happened maybe for you, and you need to stand your ground about something and just define, no, this is what I'm going to do. You might have a lot of things coming in on you. You might have a lot of, things to discern, basically, as we talked about with the esoteric influences for today. But I think that realistically, whatever this interaction that you're having, or this transaction you're having with others, you need to stand up for yourself today. So again, if this is something where you're going into a situation where you're getting your yearly evaluation, and it may be time for you to really talk about yourself and talk about what the contributions you've made to that particular job you're in. Maybe you're looking to advance there at that business, and maybe there's something supervisory coming your way, and you're going to stand your ground, and you're going to say, look, this is what I've been doing for the company. I feel like I've made a positive contribution. This is the way I've bettered myself over the year. I've taken some courses or some training or what have you. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, it could be anything. These are the kinds of things you talk about in a situation like that. And so I feel like I deserve a chance at being considered for that job, or I would like that job. Either way, it depends on what the circumstances are. Maybe you would be in the running for it, and it's not just simply open to you, where you can say, hey, I want that. And they're like, oh, cool. Yes, great. But you may find that they're offering it to you. They already know this about you. But if not, you may have to actually sell yourself a little bit. Maybe in a way that maybe sets you outside your comfort zone. I mean, in a way, that's kind of what this is. He's outside the whole dynamic down here. He's up above it. So in a way, maybe he's getting outside of his comfort zone, but he realizes that it's really important. So I'm going to stand my ground. So that's kind of the energy there. With the Eight of Cups now, in fact, we probably could have started with this. Maybe we could have even started with the Hanged Man, but we'll see. Here he's letting go of emotions that no longer serve. And it's almost like he's the missing cup here, isn't he? There's a sense of endings to this because you're letting go of all of this. So he could be the 9th one instead of the 8 of Cups. This really could be more of a 9 energy, because there seems to be walking toward that 9 energy, that a sense of completion. You've come as far as you can with the emotional state that you're in, or the emotions that you anything to do with emotions, anything to do with the water element. So it can be change, movement, emotions, compassion, empathy. You've put it all in order. And you're going to take with you whatever you can. Now, you see all of the craggy rocks here right on the edge of the ocean. It's indicating that a challenge is ahead. And if you look over here, you can see, I'll move my finger, but you can see he's going uphill, and there's some rocks in the way. So even though he knows that there could be things that are emotionally challenging coming, That's fine. He's prepared for it. He's got everything in order, and he's ready to move on into something else. Whatever this sort of looks like a strong position, how he has them. They're not, in other words, they're not scattered about the ground like they are, say, in the Five of Cups. They're not scattered. They're not turned over. They're all upright, and they've created almost like a wall here of emotional protection that's going to guide him as he's going forward. But he's also leaving them behind. There's a sense of that. So maybe a sense of emotional maturity is thought to be in this card, or is felt with this card. So he stood his ground. He is moving forward with a little more emotional maturity, we'll say. Being able to understand the greater picture is part of that. Because if you don't, then it all becomes about you, and it's not about the greater circumstance. This feels like there's a greater circumstance that he's moving toward. And he has the emotional maturity to do that. So maybe it could be that if we go with our initial example of going in and having your yearly evaluation, and you're talking about either a raise or moving into a new position where obviously there would be more money, you have developed not only the skill set to do that, to lead, because this is also a card of leadership in a way, isn't it? You not only have done that, you've gained the emotional maturity to know that this is not going to necessarily be an easy road ahead, but at the same time, you're well prepared for it. You've gained that ability to lead others without it becoming all about you. And perhaps we just should have started with the Hanged Man, put it first. This is card 12 of the Major Arcana, so it's a 3 numerology. You see triple aspects here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But he's hanging upside down from the gallows pole there, basically. It's got lots of greenery on it, so not a traditional gallows pole. You see the light of spirit around him. He's basically, what this card is surrendering to spirit, surrendering to higher awareness. And if we would have put this first, then what he would have gained from it is to stand his own ground. If we wanted to put it in the center, see, we could have stood our own ground, surrendered to spirit, and then grown in a way that is sort of an emotionally mature way. So depending on where you want to put this, it can sort of change the sentence or the description about it just a little bit. Not really the fundamental essence of it, though. So that's why I didn't really feel like it mattered where we put these things. We can just talk about them and then come up with some kind of an interpretation here. But here he surrenders to his inner voice, to spirit, to the voice of spirit. And he drops resistance. And I think that you're dropping resistance to the outcome. So you may not know whether or not, if we go with our initial example of maybe trying to get a new job within your company or getting a raise or what have you, you're going to drop resistance to the outcome, because you're going to know, because you've gained this emotional maturity, because you've stood your ground, you've done all you can to present yourself, and what's going to happen is going to happen. And if you surrender to spirit, you can see it from a broader, even broader perspective. You become philosophical about it instead of reactive about it, if you don't get what you want. But it kind of looks like, with Fehu and Puella today, that may be what's in order, that you are standing your ground, have the emotional maturity to pursue challenges that come your way. Maybe we put that first. If we talk about that first, then we stand our ground and we say, no, this is who I am, this is what I want, and this is what I demand, this is what I must have. And then you surrender to the moment. And you accept the outcome. You have the emotional maturity to do that. And if it's not your time yet to have that new position, well, then it's not. It just means that you've got a little more work to do. And it also may mean that you may look elsewhere. you know, and not be so attached to what you have right now. We've gone from a time when I was growing up, you know, a millennia ago, where you'd start wherever you start, and you'd put in your 30 years at that place. And I remember in college, I had this friend whose husband said, because he was going back to school, he was in his 30s at that point. He was going back to school, and he was shifting directions. He wanted to go into programming, and so he was learning that. And I said, well, what made you decide to do that? I mean, wouldn't you have just stayed there and, you know, built your career there and worked for advancement there? And he's like, well, why would I want to stay in one place for 30 years? That would be boring. Well, that kind of concept was not prevalent when I was growing up. It's not that people didn't change jobs. They did, you know, especially if you had to move somewhere or something like that, you had to get a new job. But most of the people I knew, once they had a job they liked, they stayed in it until they retired. And so nowadays, of course, especially with the pandemic, we're finding out that there's so many other ways that we can work. And I mean, the working from home has been a thing for a while now. So, but a lot of people are doing it, and a lot of companies are finding that they don't need the big building anymore. Maybe they need one for small groups to come in and talk to one another now and then, but they can do everything over Zoom or whatever, you know, GoToMeeting or whatever they're using, right? And so, and they can talk to one another, and they don't have to be in the same building. So the business itself can restructure in terms of its cost, you know, just to do business, just to be there. It costs money, you know. Maybe they can go to a smaller building or something and reduce their rent or what have you. But you're finding that there's other ways to do things now. I guess that's my point. And we've just come to a more instead of, you know, community-based type of work, now it's global. You know, both of my kids, well, the one in particular, they do business all over the world. And so they're, you know, they're doing quite well through the pandemic because of what they do and how they do it. And so it's just one of those things where the idea of having such a fixed experience has now branched out into any number of things that it could look like. And so that's why I say, you know, you have to have the emotional maturity to deal with change. You have to be able to stand your ground, but you also have to be able to surrender to a higher level of experience and to understand that maybe a door closes for you, but another one's going to open, you see. And if you drop resistance to all of that, all sorts of things can happen. It doesn't mean with the hangman that you're a pushover. This is a totally, you know, spirit-infused experience with the hangman. And what it's trying to do is inform your experience in physical reality from a standpoint that's far greater than what the ego can ever provide. And so those are kind of the components today when you do your transactions with others, whether it's like I was saying, you know, just if it's not, just extrapolate the message behind that from that and apply it to whatever you're experiencing today. But again, you realize that you have the emotional maturity to move forward no matter what the challenges are, to stand your ground and say, no, this is what I want, this is what I need for my life, and then be willing to drop resistance and see what happens. And then if you need to do something else, again, you have the emotional maturity to do it and to stand your ground and ask for what you want. So anyway, that's it. Don't forget the idea of benevolence and the shared path and all of that. That's a component in today's esoteric influences. Be sure to consider that with how firmly you're standing your ground and asking for what you want. You may have to say, you know, I really think that especially if you're trying to get a new position as supervisor, you could say, you know, I really understand the people I work with. I understand what motivates them. I feel like this is a group that works well together. And so it's not simply about you. It's about what you can offer the group as well. So if that's what this is for you today. So anyway, That's it for today. We'll talk again on Thursday. Come back again for another edition of As Above, So Below. Check out the blog. There's links below. If you click Show More under the video, it'll open up to all these links where I am. The website address, imsteppingaside.com. The website is Stepping Aside. Go there. You'll see lots of things that are current this week there. The numerology. There's a rune divination. There's I've changed some of this around. There's the daily correspondences for work and magic for the week, and then I've also changed the esoteric forecast to be. It's called. This is called the Ascendant, Rays, and Other Astrological Information. Or influences or something, whatever I call it. I don't know what I called it. But anyway, it's new enough. I haven't memorized it yet. But basically, I found when I was doing the forecast for the week, some of that stuff would stay the same. And so what I did is I extrapolated it out for its own thing. And, you can get a little of the astrological stuff also from the Work and Magic one. So check both out, and you'll see see what you think. See if you like that. So anyway, I like to switch things up. I'll go along for a while. I'm doing the same thing. It's like, oh, geez, And so I just decided, what if I break this up and look at it a little bit differently? We're coming into the time where we're going to start planting seeds and stuff in the house, and so we're moving into a different mindset. So doing posts every single day sometimes puts me, I don't get to do those things until like in the afternoon, and that doesn't work for me. So anyway, so I tried putting these things together in weekly format. So we'll see how that goes. So far it's doing well. What predicated it was because I needed to get things posted just in case we had to go take care of the kiddos. We didn't know when that would be. So I got in that mode, and I kind of like it. So, but we'll see. If I need to go back to daily stuff, I'll do that. But otherwise, that's what we're doing right now. It gives me the ability to do some other things on the blog that I didn't have time to do, like writing some stuff on herbal stuff. I haven't done that in a while, and I'm bummed by that. So anyway, look for all that. Check me out over on Patreon if you want to follow me over there. It's $1 a month, or whatever donation. And then let's see. Also, I write over on Medium. Check that stuff out over there. If you want to look over there, you can. Again. Or just go to the blog at imsteppingaside.com. And come back here on Thursday. We'll visit again. Thanks a lot for watching, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.